Hi, it's Vernon again. There's something much deeper, something that becomes more powerful and magnetic as you age, especially women. And it's something every man desires more than anything else, whether he knows it or not. I've been around long enough to understand that true attraction goes beyond physical traits or superficial qualities. Today, I want to share with you 3 hidden powers that emerge in women after 60. Powers that make them irresistible to men who have learned to value substance over surface. Stick around. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video to keep up with more insightful content like this. You won't want to miss what's coming next. So, let's dive into the first hidden power that makes women over 60 truly irresistible.
Emotional mastery. As women age, they often gain a profound level of emotional wisdom that younger generations simply haven't had the time to develop. This emotional mastery is one of the most captivating qualities that can emerge after 60. It's not about being perfect or always having the right answer. It's about the ability to navigate life's ups and downs with grace, resilience, and emotional intelligence. Older women have lived through decades of experiences, love, loss, joy, and hardship, and have learned how to process and manage their emotions effectively. This gives them a sense of calm, perspective, and understanding that many men find deeply attractive. They know how to respond to challenging situations without reacting impulsively, and they bring a sense of stability and empathy into their relationships. My neighbor Margaret had been married for 38 years when her husband passed. I watched her grieve, truly grieve, for 2 years. Not the performative grief that seeks comfort from others, but the deep, transformative kind that reshapes a soul. When she emerged from that cocoon of sorrow, something extraordinary had happened. She had developed what I now recognize as the first hidden power: complete emotional mastery. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we suffer not from the events of our lives, but from our judgments about those events. Margaret had learned this wisdom not from books, but from living. She had faced the deepest loss imaginable and discovered that she could not only survive it, but be transformed by it. This wasn't the emotional numbness that some people develop as protection. This was something entirely different. The ability to feel deeply without being overwhelmed, to experience pain without being destroyed by it, to love without the desperate neediness that marks younger hearts. When Margaret speaks about difficult things, she doesn't need me to fix them or make them better. She's already integrated them into her being. It's the most attractive quality I've ever encountered. Research by Dr. Susan David at Harvard shows that emotional agility, the ability to navigate our inner world with curiosity and acceptance, reaches its peak in our 60s. The hormonal storms of earlier decades have settled, the need to prove ourselves has diminished, and what remains is a profound emotional intelligence that younger people simply haven't had time to develop. This emotional mastery manifests in simple, powerful ways. When Margaret's book club discussed difficult topics, she never became defensive or argumentative. She would listen, reflect, and respond with a depth that came from having processed her own emotional reactions first. Men found themselves sharing things with her they had never told anyone. Not because she asked, but because her presence felt safe enough to hold their truths. How can you cultivate this emotional mastery? Start by practicing self-reflection. Take time to process your emotions through journaling or meditation, which helps you understand your feelings and respond to life's challenges with clarity. Embrace vulnerability, allowing yourself to feel deeply without the fear of being overwhelmed, and learn to express your emotions openly. Additionally, emotional agility is key. Responding thoughtfully to your emotions rather than reacting impulsively will allow you to maintain emotional balance and resilience. Finally, develop emotional balance by being patient with yourself and honoring your feelings while maintaining inner stability. These practices lead to a powerful sense of emotional intelligence that becomes more refined and magnetic with age. Have you noticed this shift in yourself? This growing ability to remain centered even when others around you are swept away by emotional turbulence? Leave a comment saying "power" to share your experience, or if you're starting to realize the strength within you. But emotional mastery alone isn't what makes women after 60 so magnetically attractive. It's what this mastery enables that leads us to the second discovery.
Second hidden power: authentic self-expression. I remember the day Margaret showed up to our book club wearing a bright purple dress with silver jewelry that caught the light like stars. It was bold, dramatic, completely unlike the muted colors she had worn for decades. When someone commented on her new look, she smiled and said that she realized she's been dressing for other people her whole life. She finally knows who she is. This second hidden power, the courage for authentic self-expression, emerges after years of self-discovery and shedding the weight of societal expectations. For many women, the early years of life are defined by fulfilling roles that are often determined by others: the dutiful daughter, the supportive wife, the nurturing mother, or the loyal employee. These roles are important, but they also come with a sense of duty that can leave little room for a woman to fully explore who she truly is at her core. As time goes on, particularly after the age of 60, the demands of those roles start to lessen. Children become independent, careers reach a sense of resolution, and personal expectations shift. The pressure to conform or meet others' needs no longer holds the same power it once did. This shift opens the door to something powerful: the freedom to define yourself on your own terms. It's the chance to rediscover old passions, try new things, and express yourself freely without fear of judgment or comparison. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre's concept of being condemned to be free speaks to the burden of freedom that comes with making choices about who we want to be. For women over 60, this freedom isn't a burden, but a release, a liberation from living by other standards. Embracing this freedom means no longer fitting into a prescribed mold, but instead wearing what you want, speaking your truth, and following your passions. And when you do this, you not only feel a deeper sense of personal satisfaction, but you also attract people who resonate with the real, authentic version of you. After 60, something liberating happens. What remains is the truest version of themselves, and men find this authenticity intoxicating. My friend Sarah, who turned 65 last year, started taking painting classes for the first time in her life. She discovered she had a gift for capturing light on canvas that stunned everyone, including herself. But it wasn't just her artistic talent that drew admiration. It was the way she talked about her painting, with an enthusiasm unchecked by self-consciousness. Dr. Margaret Cruikshank's work suggests that this is because authenticity signals to others that they're in the presence of someone who has found their own center. According to research from the MacArthur Foundation study on successful aging, women who embrace new interests and authentic self-expression after 60 report higher levels of life satisfaction and, remarkably, become more attractive to potential partners.
The men in Margaret's orbit weren't just attracted to her emotional stability, they were drawn to her genuineness. She said what she meant, pursued what interested her, and had stopped apologizing for taking up space in the world. One powerful way to tap into this authentic self-expression is by revisiting hobbies or interests that you might have put aside in younger years. Whether it's taking up a new creative pursuit like painting, dancing, or writing, or simply finding the confidence to wear bold colors or try new styles, it's about choosing to embrace your true self. A practical step could be to start small by making intentional choices that reflect your personal taste and interests, not those of the people around you. Maybe it's joining a new class, starting a creative project, or engaging in activities that you've always been curious about, but never had the time to explore. By expressing yourself authentically, you not only feel more fulfilled, but also become more magnetic to others who appreciate the real you. This authenticity creates a magnetic field around women after 60. They're no longer performing roles or trying to be what others want them to be. They've become themselves, fully and unapologetically. And for men who have spent their lives surrounded by people wearing masks, this authenticity is like finding an oasis in a desert of pretense. But there's something even deeper than emotional mastery and authentic expression that makes women after 60 irresistible. We'll move to the final powerful,
Third hidden power, deep presence. The third power is the most mysterious and perhaps the most profound, the ability to be fully present in a way that most people never learn. I noticed this in Margaret during a conversation we had about her late husband. She wasn't rushing to make me comfortable with her grief, wasn't trying to move past the difficult emotions, wasn't performing strength for my benefit. She was simply present with her experience, and therefore present with me. After 60, many women find that this gift of authenticity and self-expression comes naturally. Life experience brings clarity, a shift in perspective that helps them see through the illusions they once held. By now, they've lived through enough highs and lows to realize that much of what consumed them earlier in life, whether it was societal pressures, unrealistic expectations, or superficial desires, has little lasting value. They've learned that what we often worry about, whether it's failure, judgment, or loss, rarely turns out to be as significant as we imagine. Moreover, women over 60 often recognize that the things we spend so much energy chasing, like wealth, status, or validation from others, often leave us feeling empty rather than fulfilled. They discover that true satisfaction doesn't come from accumulating more possessions or accolades, but from being fully present in the moment and embracing life as it is. This realization creates space for deeper engagement with life. With fewer distractions from fear and uncertainty, they can focus on what truly matters: authentic relationships, personal growth, and meaningful pursuits. There's a depth of attention that comes with this kind of understanding, one that allows for more meaningful connections with others and a stronger sense of peace. This spaciousness, both mentally and emotionally, becomes a rare and precious gift, one that younger people, often caught up in the rush of ambition and striving, simply can't fully appreciate.
Men respond to this presence with something approaching wonder. In a world of constant distraction and surface-level interaction, meeting someone who can truly be present feels like discovering a rare treasure. Neuroscientist Dr. Judson Brewer's research shows that the capacity for sustained attention actually increases with age, particularly in women who have learned to value depth over breadth. The frenetic energy of youth gives way to a more focused, intentional way of being. This presence manifests in many ways. When Margaret cooked dinner for friends, she wasn't multitasking or stressed about the outcome. She was fully engaged in the act of nourishing people she cared about. When she walked in her garden, she wasn't thinking about her to-do list. She was seeing the flowers, feeling the soil, experiencing the moment. Men find this quality of presence deeply attractive because it invites them to be present too. In Margaret's company, people slowed down, breathed deeper, connected more authentically. She had become a sanctuary in a chaotic world. Now, as I reflect on these three powers, emotional mastery, authentic self-expression, and deep presence, I realize they're not separate qualities, but interconnected aspects of the same profound transformation. Emotional mastery creates the foundation for authenticity. Authenticity enables true presence, and presence deepens both emotional wisdom and genuine self-expression. Together, they create something that transcends conventional notions of attractiveness. But how do you cultivate these powers in your own life? How do you step into this magnetic version of yourself?
Conclusion. The path forward begins with a single recognition that everything you've experienced, every joy, every heartbreak, every challenge overcome, has been preparing you for this moment. The hidden power of women after 60 isn't found in grand gestures or dramatic transformations. It's found in the quiet cultivation of these three qualities: mastering your emotional world, expressing your authentic self, and being fully present with life. Start small. Notice when you're being pulled into emotional reactivity, and instead of fighting it, simply observe it. Pay attention to moments when you're performing for others' approval, rather than acting from your own truth. What would change if you honored your authentic impulses? Practice presence in ordinary moments. When you're having coffee in the morning, can you taste it fully? When someone is speaking to you, can you listen without planning your response? These may seem like simple practices, but they're the foundation of the magnetic power that emerges after 60. They're what transformed Margaret from a grieving widow into a woman who drew admiration and respect from everyone she met. The hidden power of women after 60 isn't hidden because it's secret. It's hidden because it can only be discovered through living fully, loving deeply, and learning to be completely yourself. If this resonates with you, I invite you to share your own discoveries in the comments below. What powers have you discovered in yourself after 60? What wisdom would you pass on to women just beginning this journey? In addition, please support me by hitting the like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. We're building a community of people who understand that the best chapters of life often come after the world tells us our story should be ending. Until next time, remember your hidden power isn't waiting to be discovered, it's waiting to be embraced.